Hi folks, just getting ourselves prepared for a long overdue trip in the kayak. Tomorrow I'm going to sort of head off probably really early in the morning for the Grose River, and this is a trip I've wanted to do for quite a while. It's not a long paddle. Hopefully there's enough water in the river to get me over a lot of the sand banks and whatnot, and I'm just going to probably go out 6k's upriver to the first set of rapids and throw a hammock up in the trees and just decompress. So it'll be just an overnighter, 2 days there, and it'll be great. And I've got music playing in the background, which would normally be a problem because after that 20-second or so time limit, the bot would pick me up and I'd have copyright infringement and all that sort of crap. Luckily now, YouTube has kicked me off monetization because apparently you need 1,000 subscribers and 4 million hours of watch time and all that sort of stuff. I'd like to thank Google for the $250 that they gave me over the 8 or 9 years that I was monetized. $4 a month. They bought me a beer every month, so thank you very much. And after I cashed it all in, 4 cases of beer, so I think that's better than nothing. But now probably have to be less worried about all that other crap that I used to have to worry about. As you can see there, I'm getting the essentials for the trip ready. The Bluetooth speaker, and so I've got some music, some tunes on the side of the river, and a power bank and an action cam. And I'm not going to stop making videos because I make them more as like a video diary, really, to see what I've been up to. And if someone gets something out of them, even better. I'll take the sketchbook away with me and do a bit of writing in the diary and a bit of meditation and all that sort of stuff. But it should be really good. Anyway, see you later. Well, I just snaked my way through the M5 and the M7, obviously going against the traffic. Still, just blew me away how much traffic there was on the road. I'm at Yarramundi Reserve. About to go down and have a look at how much water there is in the river. It looks like it's going to be all right. It's been way too long since I've been away into nature, and I'm just really looking forward to this trip. So I shall take some footage as I'm about to hit the river. Bye. Well, it is an absolutely glorious morning, and I will be setting off from this point here, and that's the car park over there. So not more than 100 meters or so to get myself onto the river and head off and get out of this built up area. And I think in a few k's, probably 2 or 3 k's, we're well into the Blue Mountains National Park, and it's World Heritage listed pristine river, so looking forward to it. Just got sunscreened up, and that's everything that needs to go into the boat. So I'm just hoping that that plus my bulky frame's not going to make us bottom out, because I know that as we get further up into the valley it's going to get very shallow. Anyway, I brought a strap along in case I need to drag the boat by hand, so we shall see how it goes. Well, we're packed up and ready to go, and I don't know if you can see that, but that's where we're leaving from. So that's our morning traffic on the way to work, and I better get paddling or I'm going to end up in this rapid over here. Well, it's not a very rapid, but anyway, yeah, we don't want to have to be paddling against it, especially with the boat as heavy as it is. So I'll get filming when get the hand out of the way when we get further up the river. Bye. Oh well, thank God for GPS. I've already stuffed up. I'm in the Yarramundi lagoon, which goes nowhere. So I'm going to have to actually go down that rapid I was talking about. I don't think it's flowing very fast, and then hang a left to get myself into the Grose River. So I was probably actually supposed to go a bit further to get myself to the correct car park. So it's going to be interesting. If there's a lot of current coming back, I may have to leave the boat and come back and get it. Go for a bit of a walk, not a long walk. Anyway, we shall see what happens. Fingers crossed. Bye. Well, not off to a fantastic start. I actually started in a lagoon, had to rock hop and ride a little rapid, get out, got stuck on the rocks. Been rock hopping all the way to here basically, but we've got a bit of water here now. I had to actually stop and ask this guy who's spraying weeds for the council where this actually started, and because I thought I was going to end up in the Nepean River and on my way down to the east coast. But as it would have it, it was just around the corner, about 100 metres or so. So I don't know how I'm going to get back to the car. It's going to be a bit of a walk. I think I'm going to probably, when I get back here, stow the kayak somewhere, take the valuables with me, and walk and drive the car back here. Not into the wilderness section of it yet, but the guy who was spraying the weeds told me once you get a few k's up here, it's absolutely magical. So I hope he's right, because so far it's been a lot of effort for not a lot of beautiful view. But I've got to say the water looks quite clean, which is nice. So I know that there's a few coal mines, old coal mines discharging into the Grose River, but that's mostly zinc pollution, which is a problem for microorganisms. But all in all, it's a lot cleaner than most of the rivers you can go for a paddle on in or near Sydney. So so far it's looking pretty promising. Anyway, I'll show you a bit of a view when I get further up, when something's worth looking at. Well, I'm just hoping that that doesn't happen to me. There's what looks like a canoe here that's been absolutely smashed. I'm assuming that it's been just picked up by a flood and smashed into that rock there, but yeah, you can see how much power there is in this river when it's raging due to a storm. We have a chance of rain for tomorrow, but it's a very light shower, so we should be fine. If anything, it might just give me a little bit more water in the river for the trip home if it rains a bit, which would be nice. And then I'll have to find my way back to the car, which is going to be a fantastic adventure. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it. I am going to be doing a lot of this, I think, for a good part of the day, because the water's really shallow, but it's a sandy bottom. Probably should have my wet shoes on, but it's not muddy and I haven't stepped on any sticks yet, so it's not the safest thing to do, but I'm just going to keep walking. Water's very pleasant temperature, thankfully, and I don't think I'm really into the national park yet. I think I just passed the YMCA on this bank over here, so I think I'm still not quite into the park. It's already quiet. You can hear that tone of the bellbird singing along, and very nice. So I'm going to go up as far as I can. I'm hoping I get to that sandy beach, and I'm doubly hoping that there's a decent couple of trees to hang the hammock in, because otherwise I'm going to be sleeping on the beach, which might not be very comfortable because I haven't got an air mattress. But I'm sure we can find a couple of trees to hang the thing up in. So yeah, we'll just keep walking, and hopefully we'll hit some deeper sections further up. Otherwise it's going to be a long 5Ks. And when the water's really shallow, the boat's very heavy. So a couple of pointers: if you come up here, make sure you don't bring a fiberglass or a carbon fiber boat, because you'll destroy it. Don't overload the boat, and bring your waders because you're going to need them. Bye. Been dragging the boat for about I don't know, an hour and a half, and we're just starting to get into the good bit. It looks like there's a lot of water there, but because the boat's so heavy, I'm having to get out a lot. I just passed, looking up this way up the river, about 1 kilometre up the river, I just passed a grandma and a granddaughter. They've walked in on a fire trail, about a 25-minute walk to the bottom, and they're the only people I've seen, and that sort of spurs me on to try and head that way. a lot more to make it less likely I'm going to see anyone. She had a golden retriever with her that came bounding out to say hello, which is quite funny. And just a glorious day, and happy to be out here. You can hear a damn aeroplane flying over, so we're still in civilization, but apart from that you wouldn't know it. Anyway, I shall continue on, and when I get to the campsite I'll give you a little shot of how that all looks. But so far no bushfires, which is good, because I wouldn't want to have to get out of here in a hurry. It would be, I think I'd be leaving the kayak and swimming. I have reached the, I think it's the first rapids. I'm going to have a look and see if I can portage over it. But I think we are definitely in the middle of nowhere. It is superb. So I'm gonna, if there's a good spot to camp around here, there's a few sandy places over here that might be nice to string the hammock. But I'm gonna have a look further up, see what's going on with that rapid, and if it looks like it's not passable, I'm gonna set up camp because I'm fragged. Well, as you can see, we have come to a bit of impasse. So I think I'm going to head back to that spot, that beach that I saw further back there. But I'll definitely get the wading shoes on, and when the boat's empty, we might even attempt to go further up the river. But it's time to set up camp, and the beach has still got a little bit of sun on it, which will be nice. This will get quite dark here quite quickly because we're in a really deep valley. So I'll be quite happy to set up camp and look after these aching muscles. It's getting too old for this stuff. Anyway, I'll show you the camp once it's set up, and yeah, hopefully there's no yowies around, because if I was a yowie, this is probably where I'd hang out, I reckon. Yeah, superb place to find some human beings to munch down on. Yes, absolutely starving, just checking to see whether that's gone out or not, and of course it has. Very windy here today, and I'm going to have a real problem getting myself fed here, but we shall persevere. We'll eventually get this thing going, and water boiling, hopefully. I shall return when I have some noodles. We just finished our 2-minute noodles, and that just flamed out then. We've got some tomato and basil soup, and a nice Cabernet Sauvignon, courtesy of one of my students. It's yes, The Pond Cabernet Sauvignon, 2016, and it looks like a nice drop. And yeah, I've had it sitting in the river to cool it down a little bit because it got a bit warm while it was in the boat. So it'll be perfect temperature now, and I'm going to just head over to my Aldi chair and sit down, listen to some tunes, and get out of the sun and just chill out. Anyway, it is getting on midnight, just after midnight. I went to bed at about 7:30 and read my book. It's by a gentleman by the name of, can't remember the initials, but it's Ramachandran, Phantoms of the Mind. He's a neurologist, very much like the Oliver Sacks type medical book. It's non-fiction, based on case studies of patients that he's dealt with who have had neurological incidents, and it's very interesting, the sort of things that can go wrong in the brain. It gives you an understanding of how complex the mind is. He's got lots of discourse on how vision works, for instance, and that in of itself is a really interesting thing if you're a visual artist. But yeah, went to bed so early. It's way earlier than I'm used to, so consequently I've woken up. But I wish I could give you a look at the sky here. I don't think it's going to work on the camera. It's not going to be light's not going to work, but we'll give it a try. I'll switch the torch off and we'll see if we can see anything, and I doubt it. No, light levels are too low. A little note to self. In the past, I've been quite slack with packing it. We always forget something. Toilet paper is something that, that always gets missed off the list. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, the other thing that tends to happen is clothing. Because it's this time of year the weather's quite mild. I'll quite often say, oh, I don't need to carry so much clothing. And this is the first time I haven't brought either the Gore-Tex jacket or the ski jacket, and that's a really silly thing to do, because normally I carry 2 sleeping bags as well, and I ditched the sleeping bag. I was trying to lighten the boat as much as possible because I knew I was going to be dragging it for most of the way. So yeah, no pillow as well. But that was a really silly thing to do, because I think clothing is imperative. If you get a turn in the weather, especially in the Blue Mountains, things can turn quite quickly. You can, freeze your butt off basically. And if it was winter, it'd be a dangerous thing. But the weather's quite mild at the moment. It's not too bad. I've had to get up and I've put on every single piece of clothing that I've got. So two t-shirts, long pants, shorts. And now I think once I get back in the sleeping bag, it'll be quite comfortable. So I'm not freezing or anything, not shaking. Just realising that I might want to be a little bit more vigilant about that in the future. I did send an SMS to both Steve and Noy to let them know where I was going, and didn't deviate from that, so that should something happen, I wouldn't be more than a day away from someone coming to look for me. But it's 7:30 in the morning, and I'm just about to attack a cup of coffee, have some breakfast, and then probably wait for things to warm up a bit and pack up and head off. I kept smelling metho when I was in the boat, and my trusty metho bottle, I wrote metho on here, so I don't take a swig out of it. Yeah, so this is a good reason why you probably should keep your fuel in a correct bottle. You can see here it's got a little mouth opening up on the top here. So that would have been interesting had I lost all my metho. Would have been eating cold food for the entire trip, which wouldn't have been nice. But yeah, I'll use whatever's in here now and toss this bottle. And as always, all the rubbish that I take in comes out with me. I don't like to leave anything for obvious reasons. Yes, it's got to that part of the video. It's time for some kooky philosophy. While I was in Thailand, I read a book by a Buddhist monk called Buddhata, who's a gentleman who was the first monk to set up a forest-type monastery. Obviously, that tradition of going into the forest to sort of avoid worldly distractions was something that happened in the past in Buddhism, and it had sort of fallen out of favour. And this particular monk had issues with that situation. Had a very no-nonsense approach to Buddhism, and he set that tradition back up again, essentially. And it's now a very popular tradition. In fact, you can head off to Wiseman's Ferry near Sydney. There's a few forest monasteries around Sydney, but this one in particular, 16 kilometres down a dirt track, and it's off the grid. And there's goannas and giant python snakes, and it's definitely very forest-like and very friendly as well. But I digress. This particular gentleman, I've read quite a bit of his books, and when I was in Thailand the last time, which was unfortunately to visit my mother-in-law, who, not unfortunate that I was visiting my mother-in-law, but unfortunate in the fact that she had been in a serious accident, and as it turns out, ended up passing away as a result of that accident. But I was
I was there for about 4 or 5 weeks, and I bought this book by this particular monk, and it was on sunatta, which is a Buddhist term for voidness or emptiness. Now, a lot of people think that Buddhism is a negative religion, nihilistic religion, and that comes out of, I think, a very poor understanding of not only the philosophy but also the terminology, because it translates from Pali or Sanskrit to English terms which are totally inadequate to express the actual meaning behind the term. So if you're thinking that Buddhism is nihilistic, think again, and you need to do a lot more reading to come to that realization. At any rate, the Buddhist metaphor using a river to illustrate sunatta, or the voidness in phenomenal existence. All big words. Basically, all that stuff that's happening around you, your life. Yes, it is important, and it's certainly important to look after the people around you and do the right thing. And all those things that all religions, Christian religion, Buddhist religion, any religion, that if you get down to the truth of it all, it's essentially about making your life mean something, and looking after the people around you, seeing the people around you as being part of that divine substrate that dwells behind all of the existence that you are experiencing. But at the same time, it's about understanding that it's a continuum. It's changing. It's never staying the same. And they use the river metaphor because as these leaves and the flotsam and jetsam that happens and drifts by, you start to realise the truth behind reality, and that is that it's ever changing, it's impermanent, and that desire for things to stay the same, especially when they're pleasurable things, is where you get caught up and you start to misunderstand life and become dissatisfied. So I'm in my own little forest monastery here. So yeah, I might have to come here when I have my next midlife crisis. Well, I'm having it now, so at any rate, yes, so that's a little bit about sunatta, and that's a little bit about my thoughts on religion. Please don't take them as gospel, because I am not a priest or a Buddhist monk. I am just someone who's very, very interested in finding some answers to life's mysteries. And yeah, as I've said on numerous occasions, when people ask me what do I believe in, what religion am I always say I'm all of them, because I'm very happy to read any religious literature if it's coming from the right place, and that's that it's about looking after the people and the things around you, so that, obviously certain things it doesn't allow me to read. And I'm very interested in science too, but the notion that life is a materialistic reality as an epiphenomenon of atoms and matter, I think is gross stupidity. So that's me in a nutshell. And yeah, I'll show you what I've done in my sketchbook as well on this trip. It's going to be a very long video. Doesn't really matter, because it'll only get 15.5 views anyway. Okay folks, I've been spending a lot of time lately, well, not a lot of time, but more than I usually do, sketching in the sketchbook. It's something that if you're a visual artist, or anyone that's creative for that matter, or anybody really, keeping a diary is a great thing to do. It sort of gives you it's a self-reflective way of stepping back from what you're doing and just thinking about it, putting it down on paper. And this is one I did on the train, just reading a doodle. I like to draw people on the train. I like to draw what's around me, and So yeah, on this trip, I've tried to capture what's around me most ineffectively, trying to capture the Australian bush with a pen. I could do it probably, but I would really have to sit down and do a sustained drawing to make it meaningful. Yeah, I got one of the kayak on the side of the river with all the clothes festooned all over it, and just took notes. And it's just a nice way of sort of keeping an eye on what's going around me in the world. So, as you can see in this sketchbook, there's been trips to Thailand,
and this is a bit of traffic in Thailand and some street sellers, lots of stuff. This is my nephew in Thailand. I like to sketch him as he's fidgeting around. Some ice skating in Bangkok and some market scenes. Ice skating is really a fantastic thing to do in steamy Bangkok. This is the whole sorry episode with my mother-in-law. And this is a gentleman I was talking about, Buddha, the monk, the forest monk. He's great to read. I always write down stuff about stuff I'm reading. This is E.F. Schumacher. He wrote a great book called A Guide for the Perplexed, and also Small is Beautiful. And he's a really great read. I'd thoroughly suggest reading him. And people in coffee lounges. This is the sad time I spent in hospital with my mother-in-law. So keep a diary. It's a really good thing. Sorry about the change in sound, but Premiere Pro is being a total and utter pain in the behind, and I've had to go and do a narration over because for some reason it wanted to repeat the first things I said at the end of the video, and very frustrating technology. Okay, well, obviously my philosophy, and most people that like to get out into nature, into the bush, Australian bush, like to leave their site as they found it. And that goes to bottle caps, little peel tabs that you take off, disposable UHT milk, all that sort of stuff. You just want to make sure that it all goes in the garbage bag. I load the garbage bag in the front of the kayak, in the front compartment, and 9 times out of 10, as soon as you get back to wherever you've left from, there'll be a garbage bin. And I remember there is a garbage bin that's been left by Hawkesbury Council, so all that garbage will be going into there. Leave it like you found it, pristine, and that's the way I like it, and that's the way most people do. So luckily these sites, because they tend to be a little bit more difficult to get to, the people that usually get to them care about them, so it's usually quite tidy. I've had a few disappointing trips to Erskine Creek where I found quite a bit of rubbish. My philosophy with that is to, as long as it's not dangerous and sharp and stuff like that, I'll do my best to either put it out of harm's way if I don't think I can transport it safely, or best case scenario, put it in the bin, take it back with me and get rid of it. Anyway, we're loaded up and we are going to head off, and not the end of another trip yet, but certainly the end of the stay here, and it has been magnificent. This is why somebody would walk 6 kilometres. That's the campsite over there, and I don't know, I don't think film does it justice. We are truly blessed in Australia to be able to access wilderness like this so close to the city. I watch a lot of videos on this type of camping in the States, kayak camping, canoe camping, and anything that's happening near cities, well, most of it's happening near cities, and they sort of give you the progress of the trip via the freeway overpasses that they go under. So this trip I went under one set of high tension wires a few kilometres back, and that was it. Once I was into the national park, I have not seen another soul, certainly all night, apart from that couple that I saw, and they were just on the edge of the park. So in the park proper, I have not seen another person, and that's just the way I like it.
Well, it wasn't that bad. I had to drag it up through that, plus another one further down, but this is the biggest one. And now all I have to do is get under this bridge and I'm back at the car park. So all in all, bottom's pretty rocky, but it's not dirty or anything or slippery. So yeah, might come back this way again if I ever do it again. The end of another adventure.